Hi, everyone. I'm Ishikula Bashvarpula. I'm a PhD candidate from the psychology department in Åbo Academy here in Vasa. I'm traveling at the moment, therefore I couldn't be there physically. And I have a very bad internet connection, and therefore I thought that the best option would be now making a video and sending it. I will try to be there present during the seminar so that I could answer your questions. What I will talk about today is our project on bullying, ethnic discrimination, and school connectedness. But let me share my screen with you first. Yes. So I will mention a little bit the background of bullying and ethnic discrimination, and then after I will share our results from the Ostrobotny youth, and then I will offer some possible solutions to this issue. So as you all know, and it has been a hot topic in Finland for many years, that bullying has very negative effects on young people. These effects are low mental well-being, poor physical well-being, and that means that if a young person is bullied, they are more likely to have depression and anxiety, or they are more likely to use substances such as alcohol, cigarettes, and so on. They also show low school interest, and they have poorer relationships with their friends and teachers. But bullying actually affects teenagers a lot more than it affects us as adults, because bullying can happen at the workplace as well. So we can face with bullying as well, but it affects young people more because at that young age, acceptance by peers, the need for acceptance by peers is very, very high. And when that's very high, and when what they see or what they experience is being bullied and discriminated, it actually creates more negative results on them, as it would do to us as adults. So studies actually have followed young people who were bullied or who bully others over the years. They have asked the questions: what happens to those people, to those kids when they were bullied at school? What kind of adults that they grow into? And they have found that they grow into adults with less education, less money, and more health problems. When it comes to discrimination, bullying and discrimination are very similar, but also very different from each other. So when we talk about bullying, we talk about such bad behaviors that is done by someone. With discrimination, the same behaviors more or less are done, but it's done because of one's ethnic background. And when we look at how it affects the young people, studies actually show that when they compare the effects of bullying and discrimination, they find that ethnic discrimination actually have more devastating, more negative health outcomes compared to bullying. So I think, in my personal opinion, that makes ethnic discrimination more important, and that's what made me to look into that more closely as well. So what are the effects of discrimination then? Well, the effects are similar to bullying. So when someone is discriminated, they also have poor mental health, the same as bullying. But in addition to that, they also have the feelings of inferiority, which means that they feel like a second-class citizen. Even at that age, and especially at that age, because they doesn't matter how old they are, once they become a teenager, they started to understand what the society thinks about them as a member of an ethnic group. So when they understand that, when they see that, and when they see that the ethnic group that they belong to is not perceived positively, that it's perceived negatively in the society, then they are also more likely to develop this cultural mistrust. So they don't trust the culture that they live in, and they also feel more insecure in the culture, in the Finnish culture, for example, that they live in. And so they perceive the majority as a threat to their own self-identity, their own being. And of course, when we talk about bullying and this discrimination, there comes the question that who are at more risk. And we can easily see that from the studies in Europe that immigrant adolescents are at more risk. So they are more likely to engage in bullying. They are more bullied, and they also bully others more, and they also perceive more ethnic discrimination. And the more visible the immigrant is, the higher the risk of being bullied and discriminated against. But the studies do not actually show much information on those who have one native parent and one immigrant parents, and those we have actually a good amount in Finland as well. So how does that happen? Well, it mostly happen at school, because basically they spend most of their time at school. So I hereby present like some examples that by peers it's mostly name calling or social exclusion, and by teachers it can be experienced as unfair treatment or not directing kids to advanced classes or advanced schools, like that are like better schools, for example. Or watching the kid more closely, or basically just being surprised when the kid is doing well at school. And in Finland, when I look at the research in Finland, I could see that the studies at this area are very limited, and that's very understandable, because there were not much immigrants in Finland for long times, like compared to Sweden and Germany, for example. But when we look at the studies, that we could see that there are some studies that are made on the prejudices towards immigrants, and they show that there is a high prejudice towards them. And the Ministry of Education have also done some studies on bullying, and they have also found that immigrant kids are more likely to be bullied, and they also bully more. And when we look at statistics now, that the number of immigrants are growing a lot. In 2019, we have done this study, and that times I think the amount of immigrants were less, but then I checked the kids that were born in Finland, and I have found that there are about like 10% of the newborn babies are born from immigrant parents, which means that maybe in 7 years of time, that 10% of the population in the schools will be immigrants. So, and I think that's an important number, and that we should focus on these issues more. So in our study, we have checked bullying, ethnic discrimination, and school connectedness, and we have worked with 10 schools from Ostrobothnia, both Finnish and Swedish-speaking schools, and about 8% were immigrant adolescents from the participants, and about 10% of them has one immigrant parent and one native parent, and 7 to 9% were both natives. So what we have found is that immigrant kids were 2 or 3 times more victimized than native kids. I write here 3 to more times because the kids in her studied junior high schools, they were 3 times more, like the immigrant kids in junior high schools were 3 times more victimized compared to natives, but in the high school level it was 2 times more. So that's why, like I say 2 or 3 times, depending on which school that they go to. If they are younger, it is more, and if they are older, it is less. And immigrants also were found to bully others 3 times more. So they are both victimized more and they bully others more, which were in line with the results that are coming from the rest of the Europe. So when it comes to discrimination by peers, we could see that immigrants were 4 times more likely to feel discriminated at school. So compared to natives, they are 4 times more likely to experience it. But actually, when we compare the results with Germany and Sweden, for example, we could see that in general the percentage of the Finnish kids, like the kids in Finland, to be discriminated is very low. Actually, it is not that high. So it is not as bad as in other countries, but as you can see that it is still not equal. So it would be, in my opinion, would be better to have that they have the same social environment they at school, so they experience the school at the same level socially. When it comes to discrimination by teachers, we also see that immigrants are 4 times more likely to feel discriminated by teachers compared to natives. So what is the solution? Well, that is the real question. Well, we found that school connectedness is a very protective factor when it comes to bullying and ethnic discrimination. So one can experience bullying and ethnic discrimination, and it leads to depression. That is what I said before. But when they have school connectedness, it plays as a buffer, so it cuts that effect of bullying to turn into depression and poor mental health. So it plays as a protective factor in between these two things. So what does school connectedness mean? It means that feeling part of the school, feeling accepted and valued by peers and the teachers. So and it is also related to so school connectedness, it cannot be explained by bullying only. So when they look at the kids who have higher school connectedness, they have seen that they also have better mental well-being. They have this high self-esteem, that they have this I believe I can do it attitude. They also adapt to difficult situations better, and they are more optimistic and more successful at school. And so these are the 5 factors that could be observed by, on the kids that have higher school connectedness. And these are exactly the same factors that we should develop on kids if we want them to have higher school connectedness. So we should work on building their self-esteem. We should pay attention to their mental well-being. We should help them to adapt to difficult situations. We should teach them resilience and optimism as well. But in general, to sum up, the studies or the scholars that are working on this issue have also brought up 5 important factors about school connectedness. So they say that creating positive relationships with for teachers with students is very important. And that is that doesn't mean that every teacher has to be good with every student. I think teachers already have lots of work nowadays, but it is actually enough for the students to have one teacher at school that they can talk to, and especially the results from the Ministry of Health on immigrant kids show that they cannot, for some reason, their communication with their parents are not as strong as those as natives. So at least they can have one teacher at school that they can talk to. Also, fostering an inclusive school environment is another step to promote school connectedness. What does that mean? It means that having a positive attitude about the diversity. I think Finland has really good anti-bullying programs that help kids to live more peacefully and in harmony, but maybe they are not updated, or they might not reflect to the diversity in schools that are becoming more common now. So I think that if we could change it, that we would have better results regarding these issues. Also, making the learning valuable, teaching kids that what they have learned is like why it is important, what is the value in the things that they learn. And finally, parents have a very important role in it, and they can help the kids to overcome the bad experiences that they have by helping them to build a positive sense of self. For example, if a kid is feeling discriminated at school, it is probably because that they are aware of the fact that the ethnic background they have is perceived negatively around. So what parents could do is to help them to build a positive self-identity about their culture, about where they come from, so they feel good about themselves, even though that they feel bullied about who they are. So these are things that we were working on in our project. And if you have any questions or comments, please do not hesitate to ask me. I just look at things from the researcher perspective. This is all I can do. But I value a lot the experience that you also have, so that I could actually conduct a better research for the future. Thank you very much.